The views and opinions expressed by past, present, and future guests of Xendependently Minded have not been expressed by me, and they may not even be shared by me. The views and opinions that I express are, of course, satirical. If you're confused, then try this thought experiment to help you understand. If you like what I said, or say, and you agree, then you can tell yourself that it is my real opinion, and it's not satirical. If you don't agree with what I say, and you're disgusted and repulsed by it, then obviously I'm just being satirical. Obviously, these aren't my real opinions, because this is clearly a character, and nobody would actually have these opinions, would they? Anyway, enjoy the episode. Good morning, world. Welcome to another episode of Xendependently Minded. If you are a new or returning listener, I truly hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we get into the episode, here's a brief disclaimer. Enjoy. How's it going, boys and girls? It's your boy, Ayatollah Khamenei, back from the dead, back at it with another episode of Independently Minded. Before I went straight into the fiery pits of hell, I had to do a podcast where I updated you guys on the situation with the girl from The Bachelorette that's beating people and the BAFTA situation. So, it's been a while. It's been almost 2 months since I last did an episode, and nothing really big has happened since I last spoke to you guys. Every time I leave, something totally crazy doesn't pop off. I think the last time I left for an extended period of time was the 12-day war with Iran, and then we left again, and then there's another war with Iran. So that's mainly what this episode's going to be about. There's not really anything domestically that I want to talk about. It's just been it's been pretty bleak. It's been pretty bleak if you're, I don't know, if you're a forward-thinking person. And I'll get into why I think it's bleak. It's not because I think that we're going to lose the war. It's not because I think World War III is coming. That's definitely not the case. Almost definitely not the case. Iran doesn't have nukes. I think it would take a nuclear attack from the United States or Israel for World War III to start. And I don't even think, honestly, I don't want this to happen, but I don't think if Israel used a nuclear weapon on Iran, that would cause World War III. The rest of the Middle Eastern countries are not on Iran's side. They are all pissed off because they have lost civilians, they've lost citizens who have been killed, while Iran has attempted to attack the U.S. bases, U.S. military bases that are scattered across the Middle East. So the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, all these places that we have bases at, they've all taken, so they've suffered casualties. More than, I believe, 13 Americans have died, which is the worst part about it. I said when this first popped off that I was fine with us killing, everybody we could in this regime. This regime is terrible. It's been horrible for a long time. Iran is famously a very history-rich, it's very philosophical. There's a lot of writers, there's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of really smart scientists that hail from Iran. The people are just they're very interesting. It's a very old and rich culture, and it's been held back at least since the 70s, partly due to, pushback and rebellion and revolution against undue Western influence. They found oil in the 50s, and then we installed a puppet regime, and then the Islamist regime took over. We had the famous hostage crisis that probably single-handedly got Jimmy Carter to lose his re-election bid. And, it's been bad news bears in Iran ever since then for us and them, for the United States and them, I mean. So I'm really mainly just going to talk about that war. I said it's bleak, and the reason I think that it's bleak is because war is never popular. War is never popular, and also it's just historical fact that the sitting administration and the political party that the sitting administration is a part of, every single time there's midterms, they're bound to lose. They're bound to lose seats in the House and the Senate, and the problem with this administration and the Republican Party is that they held a pretty narrow majority in both the House and the Senate. They had pretty minimal gains when they won the House and the Senate back in 2022. It was, remember everyone was talking about the red wave was coming. The red wave didn't come. It was like a red puddle, and it wasn't that impressive. So the Democrats, I think, only need to win like 3 or 4 seats to take a majority or to have like a tie in the House and the Senate. And this is the worst part, because then for the next 2 years, the last 2 years of Trump's presidency, it will be nothing but a lame duck presidency. The midterms are already looking bleak for the Republicans. They already were before, because people were upset about, well, one, a lot of it is reactionary. A lot of people go, they voted for Trump, and then they decide, oh, I'm not happy because things didn't happen fast enough. First of all, the first year of Trump's presidency was awesome. I give it an A+, honestly. He was doing everything that he promised. Everything was being pushed through and forced through with executive orders. Then democracy slowed things down, for better or for worse. I would prefer that democracy slows things down because it, keeps checks and balances. But a lot of things were being done correctly. Domestically, the border was secured. Crime was going down in major cities because National Guard were actually being used and forced to do a job for once, being sent to cities like D.C., Chicago to clean up the crime. And, I liked it. And then came the fumbling of the Epstein files, which were pretty rough, I will admit. But then the files started to come out. People weren't seeing what they wanted to see, but there was a lot of really dark, disgusting stuff. It was arguably worse than I expected. I just thought it was going to be used as a tool for political gain. It was going to be, we're going to release 2 million files, but only the ones that are on Democrats. But nope, it was on everybody. Everyone and their mother, including Trump allies, anybody who was involved in this this pure act of evil and satanic rituals and whatever this shit was. But the war is very unpopular. Most people are upset with it. I know I was against it when it started, but I said, if this is quick, if it's a couple-week operation and no Americans are killed, great. But we've lost 13 Americans. So it's 13 people that died that didn't need to die. All because Marco Rubio admitted that, the United States was told by Israel, we're going to strike Iran. You're either with us or against us. They didn't say that. They wouldn't dare say that right now. They'll probably say that to the next president, who's inevitably going to be a Democrat. Most likely it's probably going to be Gavin Newsom. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Gavin Newsom or some milquetoast bum, psychopath, liar, scumbag who's going to start persecuting political opponents. Regardless, Marco Rubio said it on camera the day like that it happened, that Israel told America, we're going to strike Iran. You can either join us or not. And the United States was worried that if we didn't preemptively strike them as well, that they were going to immediately attack American bases and Americans would get hurt, which is what ended up happening. Less Americans got hurt in the initial onslaught, but then people started to die. People started to die in Kuwait, because there are a couple bases there. People started to die all around, and Americans were getting targeted. I know some people who were targeted, who were staying in hotels. The way it works is if you work in the Middle East, a lot of the times, depending on the country you're in, you stay in like a luxury hotel. You don't have a house or an apartment, and those places are well known in the region for being housing for Americans, and those are getting attacked. And luckily, Iran's not great at aiming, so they would miss oftentimes. But regardless, you're there with your spouse, your kids, and getting missiles shot at you because we got into a war that we shouldn't have to begin with. What is the end goal here? The end goal is most likely regime change. That, as we see it now, is not the case. If anything, the regime its roots are stronger and firmer on the country of Iran. I don't think that Ayatollah's son, who they claimed was the new guy who was sworn in, because they were having like a council or whatever you call it, it's like a council of elders were sitting together in a building discussing. It was like 30 people discussing who's going to be the next leader, and then that building got bombed and all those people got killed. They created, 70-foot crater out of that building. And then supposedly Ayatollah's son took over, and then he got targeted by a missile. His legs were blown off or something, and then he was putting out written statements. He was putting out messages in a bottle out to the world rather than speaking on video, because he's probably dead. They just are staying face. So economically, I really don't care about the economy in the short term. I don't care about gas prices in the short term. It's been really funny to see Democrats who sat there with a straight face talked about how, European leaders telling their people that they need to be cold for the winter for Ukraine because of the war with Russia. Biden seeing, under Biden, we had the highest energy costs in a long time, so much so that before the midterms, he started to sell off these strategic reserve barrels that we have to try to alleviate the costs. And now we're acting like this is the worst time of all time for oil. And then, we have people sitting here saying that Trump invaded Venezuela and then decided to attack Iran and is going to invade Cuba to distract them from the fact that he is in the Epstein files and he in a meaningful way, which is not. I covered that already. Not that matters. There's bigger fish to fry. It's almost like, so there's a group of sick people that want Trump to have assaulted children. It's like it's the hill that they're deciding to die on. Oh, he's a rapist. He raped kids. He didn't rape kids. Google if Donald Trump raped any kids. The answer will be no. There was a lawsuit that was filed, which of course is not a good look, but a lawsuit was filed anonymously. Nobody came forward with evidence. Nobody came forward to even claim to be the accusing party, and therefore the case was dropped. So I could go right now and file an accusation of this kind, a crime of this nature, and then it'll be logged in a database. Doesn't mean that it happened. So that's, you hear some of the stupidest opinions whenever something drastic happens, and I don't blame people. I'm not a genius. I've said it. I have a disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast. I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about anything. I have not spent a second in the military. The closest I've gotten was being a child of someone who was in the military for a long time. But that's it. I don't take any credit for that. I didn't do anything. There was no sacrifice on my part. It was my dad who did all the work. But I can still have an opinion. And at least I like to sit back. It's been 2 months for a reason. One, I've been busy. I moved and had to set up had to get my setup ready, and didn't have internet for a while. But then also, as with every other major conflict, I don't like to speak on it immediately. I like to sit back, watch things unfold. My prediction in the beginning was that this is going to be short. I still consider it to be in the range of short. I think in the next couple weeks, the plan, according to Trump, he's been going back and forth. He said, so here's a ceasefire. Potentially, the Iranians are claiming that he put forth the ceasefire that they rejected, which is very, very stupid to do. I mean, your entire chain of command down like 35 people has been killed, including the son, who was supposed to be the new heir apparent to this insane, bloodthirsty regime, the regime that's shooting and killing its own people in the streets, kills women for dancing, kills people for dancing. They put to death an Olympic wrestler for, I don't even remember what he did. I think he was just associated with protests of the regime. So they literally killed an Olympic wrestler. So this is the regime that we're dealing with. What's the end goal? Like I said, the end goal, I guess, is supposed to be regime change. You want the people to revolt. I thought the highest chances of that happening and them overthrowing the government was a few months ago when there was tens of thousands of them in the streets. But then they started gunning down people, and then it kind of slowed down, and then we went and we bombed and killed their leader. So the unfortunate part is that, like I said, the Republicans were already going to lose the House and the Senate, most likely. They're definitely going to lose the House and the Senate now because war is never popular. Any party that is at war almost always loses the next election if they're in a time of war. Even though this isn't a irregular war, we don't have troops on the ground, we don't have people invading us right now. 13 people have died. It's more than zero. It's not a huge amount. But we're going to have a Trump presidency. It's going to be a lame duck presidency for the last 2 years, which is a shame because the first 18 months of this presidency was great. It was fantastic. I was on board with every single thing. The only thing I wish happened was that Trump went a little harder on things like deportations. I'm also completely in favor, even though the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court are a bunch of cucks. There's, I don't blame them, but I also do blame them. You know what you signed up for. You wanted to be a judge. You wanted to be a justice on the supreme law of the land. You made some controversial decisions, and then a bunch of mentally ill leftists went to your house and tried to kill you. That happened a couple times, I think with 2 or 3 different justices. One justice that was at a baseball game, the one guy who was at Justice Kavanaugh, and then I think the lady, Amy, whatever her name is, she also was attacked. Amy Coney Barrett. She was also attacked, or at least threatened, credibly. But now they've decided to side against Trump with a lot of really stupid stuff. I believe the tariffs they've voted against. They said they're not constitutional or whatever. Same thing is going to happen with this birthright citizenship, which is unbelievable. Okay, the United States, most powerful country in the entire world. Everyone wants to come here. We have this ass backwards law that almost no other first world nation has, which is birthright citizenship. So, like I said, not a single other first world country, developed nation, strong country, has birthright citizenship. It is extremely hard to even make the case for birthright citizenship in the places that technically have it. So there are some places like France, the UK, Italy, I believe, and Ireland. They have it technically, but it's only if one of your parents has citizenship. So basically, they follow the same kind of conventional rules that everyone else does. Yeah, you can get citizenship if you were born in Germany, but one of your parents has to be German, or one of them has to have permanent residency. There is no outright birthright citizenship. It's been used as a tool many, many, many times, I believe politically, to bring people over, have them have 1 million kids, or have them bring a bunch of kids that they say that were born in the United States, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of new voters. This is part of the massive pushback, the billions of dollars in funding, that are anti-voter ID, stuff like that. Regardless, I'm getting off topic. Trump's last 2 years are going to be filled with subpoenas, kangaroo court hearings, impeachments. His legacy is going to continue to be stained because it was filled with a fumbling of the Epstein files release, even though it's happening. People are just not happy because, just like with every other conspiracy, you let people sit long enough, they're going to come up with crazy theories, and then when the theories don't end up being true, they end up being upset about it. So, he's going to get subpoenaed up the butt. A bunch of his cabinet are probably going to step down. They're going to be pushed out. They're going to be fired. It's going to look like the first Trump presidency, which is unfortunate because that presidency also was filled with some good things. This one was even better. The first 18 months I gave an A. I would give it an A minus. The only reason I gave it a minus was because we were being too soft on immigration. We should have started deporting everybody, which I guess we're trying to do. But then you had paid agitators getting themselves shot, fighting for actual convicted people who assaulted children. There, I think Renee Good or the other guy died protesting the deportation or the apprehension even of a guy from Nicaragua or something who had thrown a rock through a bus window and it busted open a little girl's head. So a girl who's sitting with her little backpack, talking to her friends on her way to school, about to learn the alphabet, gets nailed in the head with a rock from an illegal. We decide we're going to apprehend this guy and send him to Alligator Alcatraz and deport his ass, ship him in a barrel and launch him out to sea. And a couple white guilt liberals decided to get themselves shot over it. So then we had to pull out of these places where massive money laundering, massive fraud are taking place, places like Minnesota. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Trump didn't go as hard as I feel he should have, especially with purposeful and intentional population replacement. I mean, it is what it is. It's undeniable. No voter ID, 20 million plus illegals being shipped in, being flown in under the Biden administration. And then billions of dollars are being poured into paying for and planning and coordinating protests against ICE members. And also, people keep acting like, why is it that the ICE people get to wear masks? Why can't they show their faces? Because you freaks, when you see a bit of skin, there's freaks on the internet that track you down and find out where you live. They dox you. They send people to agitate you at your house. They leak your entire family's identities to the internet. This is why their faces are covered. Don't sit here and be stupid. There's so many people that do that piss me off so much. They're like, they're thugs. It's technically illegal for them to cover their face. Shut up. You know why their faces are covered. There's a reason why ICE agents have such a giant signing bonus, because you're signing up to die. You're signing up to get harassed, to get rocks thrown at you, and you're signing up for your family to get harassed until the ends of time for protecting the country against people who throw rocks through windows that bash little girls' heads in. So it's unfortunate. Trump is going to be impeached 1,000 times. There's not going to be a single meaningful bill that gets passed. It's going to be blocked by the Senate, blocked by the House. It's going to look so bad, and most people don't understand that side. Why the midterms are so important, why it's so important to vote for your local representatives and senators. Because ultimately, what's going to happen is, most people don't look into it now. They think, okay, Trump hasn't done what he's supposed to, or he's done a bad job, or I didn't vote for him, so I was going to vote against him in the midterms anyway. By the time his presidency is done, there will be articles, there will be books, there will be interviews, there will be podcast episodes about how much of a failure his presidency was. And I will outright say, if things don't change, if he isn't able to accomplish things in spite of losing the House and the Senate, which he won't, I promise you he won't. It's a guarantee almost. It's a 95% money back guarantee on my part. Unless things don't change, you say that this presidency was a failure. You could absolutely say that when 2028 rolls around, and anybody who's associated with this administration has a scarlet letter on them, meaning they cannot run for office, they're not going to become president. Before, the odds, I don't really like betting, but the betting odds for who's the next president were pretty heavily in J.D. Vance's favor. And now he's down like 9 to 15% in these markets, and it's looking more like maybe someone like Gavin Newsom could be president, which is again very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. That guy's a spineless reptile, and he deserves to be in prison, but let alone be president. But Marco Rubio won't be able to run for president. I wouldn't vote for him anyways. Don't like the guy. Never have, never will. J.D. Vance, don't like the guy. Never have, never will. Anybody associated with this presidency except maybe RFK Jr. Our only hope is RFK Jr. runs for president, and he's done a great job with the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again movement. He's done a great job. He really has, and I'm very, very grateful. I think that he was one of the most important cabinet appointees. I really thought Tulsi Gabbard was going to be an important cabinet appointee, and I thought she could possibly set herself up to be president. But then, she was a lame duck. She came out and she said, Iran doesn't have capabilities to build a nuclear weapon, but they have enriched nuclear material higher than any civilian use. So let's keep an eye on that. And she's been pretty silent since we started this war, since us and Israel started this war. So it's not looking too great. If you're a fan of the United States, if you want to see the United States fall, if you want to see a destructive leftist government in power next, if you thought the wokeness and the bald secretary people who are stealing women's clothes, I'm talking about the cue ball guy that wore lipstick and was one of the ugliest creatures I've ever seen in my life. Why is it that these mentally ill freaks who have watched too much porn that they fried their brains into thinking that they're girls, why is it that they think the only thing that makes a woman is if you wear a dress and high heels and lipstick? Like, no, you're an ugly guy. You trying to be a girl, it's embarrassing. Like, the rest of us are embarrassed. We're sitting here kind of scratching our heads like, why is this person not like handcuffed to a radiator? Anyway, that guy, we thought that if you thought the Biden administration before was bad, all the woke stuff, the butt ugly trolls, the trannies, the bald dress wearing people who were stealing clothes, You know, if you thought that was bad, it's going to be so much worse. The blowback is going to be so much worse. You're already seeing it in media right now. Hollywood is so bankrupt that the movie that won Best Picture is genuine, one battle after another. It is genuinely like a 2016, 2017 type of movie. It's a movie about I couldn't tell you. It's a movie about anarchy and breaking people out of immigrant detention centers. Yeah, it's so unbelievably bad. I couldn't believe that it was a real movie. I thought that it was a college humor skit. I thought it was a Saturday Night Live skit, but it was a genuine big budget blockbuster Hollywood movie made by one of the most beloved directors of the 21st century, Paul Thomas Anderson. And it had Leonardo DiCaprio. And then the main chick who won, I think, best actor or best supporting actor or best actress or whatever, Tiana Taylor. She looks like Lawrence Taylor, the NFL player. She's a sight for sore eyes. The movie is so unbelievably bad. There's a scene where the girl in the movie, Tiana Taylor's character, is like she's walking on top of, I think they're robbing a bank. It's a bank heist, and she's walking on top of a counter, saying that her nickname is Jungle Pussy. It's great. It's really good. And then there's a scene where Sean Penn is trying to channel his inner Trump, and he's like, "I love black girls. I love black girls." It's just it's a joke, but it's a product of 2017 that has resurfaced in 2026. It's a massive piece of trash. It's one of the worst pieces of trash I've ever seen in my life. And then Sinners, most mediocre movie ever made, was nominated for 1 billion Oscars. So I mean, we're seeing the end times here culturally. The United States is in a rough spot. We're only going to get that again. We're going to get a lot of really bad, cringy leftist stuff, and that if that's the worst of it, we'll be lucky. We're going to be seeing social media companies and big corporations pivoting back to leftist ideology, ESG, DEI is coming back. We're going to start hiring blind air traffic controllers and trans pilots and all this stuff, and it's going to be great. And then TikTok's going to be big again, and then everyone's brains are going to continue to rot. And yeah, and then in 2032 we'll have another milquetoast Republican neocon who's going to get us into war with Argentina or something. Who knows? We're going to invade Africa. We're just going to take over every country in Africa. I don't know. It's, like I said, it's a bit bleak. I'm really not too hopeful as far as politically. I just hope that this war ends soon. I hope the war ends soon. I hope the Strait of Hormuz is left untouched. I hope businesses and boats can come through, and I hope the economy recovers, which it will. It always does. I just hope the war ends soon. I hope that there are less civilian, there aren't many more civilian casualties after this. I hope that no more Americans die. And I just hope the war ends soon, and I hope it's a permanent solution. And then we have to start talking about why it is that we can be forced into a war by a country the size of New Jersey. That's something that we really need to examine, that kind of parasitic relationship, it feels like. But that's going to do it for this episode as Independently Minded. Just wanted to give my thoughts on the Iran war, what I think is coming next, and what I think it means for the future of the United States. Also, Europe sucks. The European leaders are massive pussies. Okay, first of all, almost not a single, weirdly enough, the only country that was helping us with this was the UK, and they also hesitated in the beginning, but no other country in Europe decided that they were going to help us with these strikes in Iran, which is just a shame because they rely so heavily on us protecting them and being a part of NATO, and we came to their defense with their war of aggression against Russia. Yes, Russia invaded Ukraine, but not after every other country was trying to sanction them to death. Every other country is trying to overthrow surrounding countries like Georgia, installing puppet regimes. We're there for them. They're not here for us. We'll remember that. It's fine. It is fine. Hope you guys are doing well. Don't forget to stay hydrated. I will catch you on the next episode. As always, Stay safe. Oh, and my recommendation to you is Project Hail Mary. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's the best movie out right now, which, doesn't mean much. It's kind of an insult, but it's a great movie. Go watch it. Project Hail Mary. Catch you guys on the next episode. As always, stay safe and stay away from those crazies out there.